Hello everyone, we're here at the KNT. I have a bit of an update regarding the helical lead, or the helical gear cutting. That there is my Kearney & Tracker gear, 30 tooth, for the high-speed head. This is the piece of steel that I believe I'm going to be making the banjo out of. What is the banjo? Sit down here. Between this 6-spline shaft and this 6-spline shaft, there's going to be 3 gears. I forget the tooth count. I believe it's 43, 164. I'm going to have to check it again, but I believe that is the gears that I need. This plate here, I need to get this guy out of the way. It's just a long bolt that I use to hold all the different wrenches that I need to use. This piece of steel is going to be flattened. I'm going to drill or mill a bunch of radiuses into it so that it will rotate around this point so that it can engage a gear that's going to be attached right here. I believe I want it to rotate around this here and this, so that it can be clamped at either of those points as it rotates around here. Now this, this isn't going to be really a mounting point no matter what. It'll only be an area for it to locate against so that it rides against right there, if that makes sense. This is where it will pivot around. It will actually mount to this threaded hole here and this threaded hole here. I will have to make standoffs for it so that it can ride a couple of inches out, because it cannot ride directly up against or right up against these two surfaces. I'm also, to do this, I'm probably going to draw up a diagram for the slots for the gears, because the gears need to, I'd also like to cut other helical angles, so I'm going to mill 2 slots that are off-centered so that the gears can fit into those slots and be adjusted so that they have the proper clearance angles. They're not angles, but clearance. They have the proper clearances, sorry. I'm going to take this piece of steel, it's a piece of cast iron from one of the castings that obviously broke, and I'm going to be replacing this dial here. For me, it's a bit too busy, and I don't need to work in minutes and seconds, only just degrees. The ID of this is the exact same as the ID of this dial, so I'm going to be making a new one, and it's only going to have 9 spaces on it, so that I can work in degrees instead of ratios, which will be rather nice. Other than that, I do have a new project. Before I get to the new project, the way that I'm going to mount this plate into the dividing head so that I can create those 2 radiuses is this small faceplate. I'm going to swap these jaws around, put faceplate in, and bam, I have a dividing head with a faceplate that can act as a rotary table if I need it to. It came from this little mini lathe that we got for real cheap. A new project. It's over here. This here is going to become a small surface grinder and tool and cutter grinder. 6 inches wide, has 8 inches between this face and this face, and it's about 2.5 inches thick. Well, the reason I would like to create a tool and cutter grinder is 2-inch end mills like this are very expensive whenever they're new. This one I got for real cheap, but it's dull, pretty dull. Not too bad, but still dull. I'd also like to be able to resharpen my other end mills. Oh, carbide just went. Yep, I'm barefoot in the shop. I'm waiting on shoelaces to come, or bootlaces to come, because I keep breaking them. But endmills like this, I like to resharpen them. It's hard to get these open with one hand. I have 5/16 inch end mill that I might not resharpen, but again, I just like to be able to resharpen tools, and this cutter grinder project is probably going to take precedence over the helical gear project, which means if I have money and I'm going to spend my money on the grinder or the helical gears, probably the grinder, because the grinder is going to make me more money in the long run, in the money it will save me in tooling. I'd also like to be able to regrind my horizontal mill tools so I can keep them nice and sharp. And I'd also like to do surface grinding, cylindrical grinding, interior bore grinding. I haven't decided if I would like to hold these in a collet or if I would like to create special adapters for each different size. This is a whole can of worms that I'm probably going to get into soon. Machining it all, creating datums. That's going to be a decent project. Back to the dividing head. I know I said that I was going to make a video on the bevel gear for a trailer jack. I didn't end up making that video. I started making it, made the intro, I was about halfway through the process. I was cutting the gear, and one of my dogs, I wasn't having a very good day. One of my dogs was really not having a good day. This one over here. She has hemangiosarcoma, it's cancer. She collapsed because of a lack of blood. Don't feel bad for me. It's just what it is. We were given 8 months, or no, we were given 4 to 6 months, but we got 8 months so far. So she wasn't having a good day. She collapsed, and I had to take care of her, and it kind of threw off my video making mojo. So there's that. Ever since I redid, I don't know if I've already said this, and if I already did, I will cut it out. Ever since I redid that spindle, tore the spindle apart, it's been working absolutely beautifully. I had to make 3 passes on that 12-tooth bevel gear, and I had to make, 36 different indexes. Didn't stick once. It did a very good job with that. The lock worked. I locked on every single cut, and it just worked, which was really nice. I believe the next video is going to be of me machining this guy. It's either going to be me machining this guy so that I can use it for a banjo. Really, it won't be very complicated at all. Just opening this bore up, radius here, 2 slots. Very, very simple. The banjo, it's not rocket surgery. I would buy one, but they're very expensive because they are large, they're cast iron, and they have a cover. Really, you don't need a cover for it. If you're smart, if you have little kids running around, I don't, then maybe have a cover on it. If you're stupid and you put your finger in the gears while it's going, put a cover around it. I'm not going to have a cover on it because I'm only going to cut 32 gears at the specific lead. Then, not going to be doing that too often. I will say that if you are interested in this project, if you have a vertical head or other attachment that needs a gear, I believe that Kearney and Trekker only used 30-tooth gears. It might be 30-tooth gears and also 24-tooth gears. I'd like to create a resource for all of the different gears for all of the different attachments if they are different. If they're all the same, I would still like to create some manner of resource, maybe a forum on Practical Machinist where someone can go and find out all of the information they need for these gears, so that if they don't want to buy one from me or whoever else may want to create them, they can make them themselves. If you would like to buy one of these gears, then let me know. I'm not going to create any manner of pre-order. You're not going to, but I would like to know how many people actually want them. I don't care how many people want them. I'm still going to do it. It's still a fun challenge for me. But if you're interested, let me know. If you have gears, let me know. If you know anything about them, let me know. Information is incredibly helpful, and even in this era with the power of the internet, I couldn't find a massive amount of information on these gears. They're not difficult, but I would still like to know more. I believe that in this series of creating these helical gears, there will only be maybe 3 more videos. Just one of me making the banjo, one of me making all the gears, and then finally cutting the gears. Truthfully, there's not a whole lot to it. It's a subject of great interest to many people, but once you have the equipment to do it, once you have the dividing head and you have the plates and you have the gears, it isn't super difficult. I may also make another video just on the math of it, because there is a decent amount of math. However, Kearney and Trekker knows that some machinists are quite lazy, so they made a chart for all of the different leads that you can create. I have that chart, so I don't need to do nearly as much math, but I do still need to do a decent amount. And also researching and figuring out what lead angle that is, what number of cutter. I believe it's 4 diametral pitch. I need a number 7 cutter, if I'm correct. If you have a bunch of gear cutters and you'd like to sell me one, I do need to buy the proper gear cutter. I also need to buy a bunch of 16 diametral pitch cutters, and I also need a new 50 taper arbor. If you have any of those things, let me know. If you'd like to sell them to me, not if you just have them lying around and you don't want to sell them. I mean, even if you do, then let me know if you'd like to. People are interesting to talk to at times. I'm also not only am I going to create the videos for the gear cutting and the helical gear cutting, I'm also going to have a video series on this guy, obviously, and I'm going to make a couple of videos on making chuck keys, because I have literally a couple, there's this one and the 6-inch, that don't have chuck keys with them, and I'm going to be making a couple of them. I did bring over some material along with the mini lathe from my other house. Not a whole lot, as you can see. That's about all the material I have, plus my K&T parts graveyard. I have this guy, which I'm debating making an adapter for this chuck to go into the spindle of the K&T. Don't know, I might not. It would be very nice because the mini lathe, again, does not have very much power, but also I don't have a tailstock in the K&T, so turning things like this, while not difficult in any manner, would not be super easy. I could make a tailstock for the K&T, but that's a bag of worms I don't really want to get into at the moment. I got enough projects on my hands. I am still developing the mill clamps. These are 2 chunks of steel. They are fighting me every single step of the way, I swear. But I will prevail. I just need to get the proper tools to cut the steel. I would like a power hacksaw so I can cut up the bars, but I don't have one. I believe that is all that I wanted to say regarding my projects in the shop. I hope everybody is staying safe and staying inside with this coronavirus that is making the rounds. It isn't particularly dangerous for those who are able-bodied and you're not. you don't have any pre-existing health conditions, obviously you probably already know. So don't be too afraid, but be kind to your neighbors and stay inside and stay safe. Don't hoard don't hoard all the resources. Don't hoard everything. Don't hoard all the toilet paper. It's not good. This virus, these trying times are getting to us all. I'm very blessed that I have a home shop with a decent sized machine, a very decent sized machine, that I can do a decent amount of work on, but not everybody has one. So to those people, just watch some YouTube videos. In any case, thank you for watching up until this point. Thank you for watching my ramblings. Stay tuned if you'd like to see these different projects come into fruition. I'm going to try to make more videos and more professional videos. This little black sort of line that you see on the right side of your screen, my phone is in its holder for your belt, and I created a hole for the camera so that I could attach it to the weird snake arm indicator holders. I have one of them. I can attach the belt clip to right there and video things much nicer now, and I'm going to be trying to make more videos, more interesting videos. The bevel gears also weren't particularly interesting. There wasn't a huge amount of information. It's just like cutting a spur gear but at an angle, and if you have a dividing head, you've cut a spur gear, and if you haven't cut a spur gear, it's rather boring. The only interesting part of that video was me grinding my own my own form cutter, which looks like absolute garbage, but still it did the job. That was about the only interesting part of the video. Other than that, it was just typical gear cutting. So if you are bummed out about that, go watch a video about gear cutting, because same thing. Well, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.